Welcome to another edition of the eSpot with Camille. The eSpot is your location for the latest in entertainment, beauty, and design from the people who make it. Thanks for joining. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the season finale. Can't thank you enough for all of you joining me on this journey again, another season. And what better way to end it than ways to rejuvenate and defy age as much as possible with my good friend and guest from Blue Water Spa right here in Raleigh, North Carolina, Brooke Lawrence. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you. I can't thank you enough for the secrets that we will later share. But first off, tell everyone how you got started in the beauty world of nursing.
Absolutely. So I am a family nurse practitioner by training. I have 7 years of nursing experience. I actually started off as an ICU nurse, and then later transitioned into doing outpatient surgery, including transplant surgery, but also plastic surgery. And that's kind of how I first dipped my toes in. I just love that the world of plastics was working with happy patients, but making them feel better about themselves and really helping trans people feel like they're transforming and having how they feel on the inside match the outside. So that's kind of how I first dipped my toes in. And then later just working with our plastic surgeon, training under him, really got me interested in doing more of the fillers, the Botox, the anti-aging. I'm really getting to combine my love for science and anatomy with my love for art and beauty, and just really making women feel good about themselves.
No, I mean, I was an esthetician in my previous life, and you have to admit, like it's such a like it just fills your heart. Like it's such a great experience being someone that can see that transition from someone maybe who's really stressed out or lack of confidence for whatever may ail them, and then immediate gratification to some extent. Like immediately they feel better, even just being around with all that boss power that Blue Water happens to offer, but a lot of spas offer as well for people who don't have the luxury of living in Wake County, or North Carolina for that matter, because it's worth the trip. So when you first got into it and you started with the plastic surgeon, was there any classes or things that you learned that really helped you to work on faces to go from ICU, and children, or for that matter too?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure that was a completely different audience and a transition as well. So can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I'm very fortunate here at Blue Water. We have very unique training. So it's not just a weekend course. We spend weeks actually essentially interning with our surgeon, Dr. Michael Law, in the OR. He specializes in facial rejuvenation surgeries. So we are in the OR with him, seeing him do some of the facial surgeries, seeing him inject fat, him showing us the anatomy. So, I mean, it's like once in a lifetime training that not many injectors get. So that's really how we form the basis. And then we spend honestly months shadowing with some of our more experienced injectors. Some of those injectors are national trainers. And then it's really continuing education. I was lucky enough to go to a cadaver conference or lab at the ISPAN conference back in October of last year. And we are for hours dissecting cadaver heads. So seeing exactly where the anatomy is, taking fillers and injecting those, seeing exactly where they go. So really being able to expand on those skills. And then also we do conferences constantly. We went to the ISPAN conference back in October in Atlanta for several days, learning kind of about the latest and greatest techniques, products out there in the world of aesthetics. And then honestly, every month participating in trainings, whether that's online, training through the CANS, which is the certification for aesthetic nurses. I'm currently in the process of studying for that, which is a specialty certification for expert injectors. So I'll be taking that in the next few months. So really, because this field is always changing and adapting, you're constantly learning. I'm always on YouTube, Instagram, following these injectors. I've been doing it for 25 years, seeing, how they're using the newest product or seeing how I can better my technique. So it's definitely a field where you have to be dedicated to that continuing education, which I love.
Oh no, that sounds like a dream job, except for the cadaver part. Well, for me anyway, because I have the gift of gab. That's obviously why I'm here, and so it'd be kind of hard for me not to want to communicate with my clients. But otherwise, wow, what a fun job and what a great opportunity to actually go into the different surgeries and be able to learn right there why they're doing certain things, the symmetry of it all, the beauty and art that you mentioned of it all. Like it's more to it than just the math of figuring out where to put things, but why you're putting them where you're putting them. So, speaking of why you put where, when, a little secret if you haven't been following my Instagram, I am no longer a Botox virgin nor filler for that matter either. Brooke injected me. Gosh, has it been 2 months? I guess it's been 2 months now. So share a little bit about the different injectables that you suggest for people who are looking for that facial rejuvenation, and why on my own face that you chose certain things for me to get that refreshed, but still look like myself. Like I don't feel overdone because coming from LA, like that was something that kind of scared me from it, even though I worked at places that did phenomenal jobs. But
Absolutely.
it got to a point where some of it, I wonder if they were just so addicted, like, oh, there's a wrinkle, I need a spot, or oh, there's something, need a spot. So like how do you go about assessing your clients, and what are some of the different services you suggest or you used on me, and why?
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's a very common fear, Camille. A lot of people, see people in the media that are frozen. They can't move at all. They look very unnatural. And you're right. A lot of it could be, the client or the patient wanting that look. But I do think as providers, we have a responsibility to kind of say, we want to keep things natural. If it ever gets to a point where it's looking that way, being comfortable discussing with a patient, I'm not comfortable doing with that because I think that's going to distort your natural beauty. So I think one, as a provider, being able to have those honest conversations with patients and making them aware that you have their best interest at heart. The other thing that we do at Blue Water Spa is that we do offer free consultations for filler and Botox clients. So that initial consultation, there's no pressure to purchase. There's no pressure even to move forward with a service. It's really a chance for us to get to know each other and for me to sit down with a client and say, what look are you going for? Are you looking to look like, Kylie Jenner? Maybe, let's have a realistic conversation about that. How many syringes will that take? What length of time would that take to achieve that look over? Or if you want a natural look, we can discuss. We can start slow. I'm definitely someone, I tell patients, we're going to go on a journey together. That means that we might not get to point Z in one session. It might be over the course of 2 or 3 sessions, but that might be the safest and most natural way to do that. I also think it comes down to knowing anatomy, in really individualizing patient treatments. I've had patients come and say they go, to another place, and every time they go, they get 65 units. Like every patient there gets the same number of units every single time. And that's very much in contrast to what I believe in. I believe in taking one what the patient desires. Some people like to have no movement. That's totally fine. We can do that and still have it look natural. Some people like you, Camille, working in an industry where you really need facial expressions. I'm not going to treat you with as high of a units because I know for you, we still need to be able to have some expression to make it look natural on camera. So adjusting to a patient's lifestyle, what they're wanting, and then their anatomy. I sit down, I have you, make all the facial expressions, my hands on the patient just to make sure I can feel how strong their particular muscle strength is. And then I'm really making my dosing based on those factors, and then scheduling that 2-week follow-up so we can always adjust at that time. I always tell patients I can always add more. That's never an issue, but I prefer to take that more conservative approach, knowing we can add more on the back end. And I find most patients are more happy with that because that's really what allows us to find what the right dosage is for you. And then also knowing, there's very little risk of getting that over-treated a look or, the unnatural look by doing it with that approach. So yeah, probably the most popular treatments that we do is going to be the neuromodulator. So that's Botox, Xeomin, and Dysport. So that's going to be the products that really relax those fine lines and wrinkles. So when you think about, having those frown lines on the 11 area or the
What frown lines? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
I have them. I have movement lines now, not so much frown.
Oh, so that's going to be our most popular treatment, especially with anti-aging. I have patients as young as, early 20s that get that treatment, or we call it baby Botox or prevented Botox. Essentially, they just need lower dosing because they have less of the fine lines, less muscle movement. And then I have patients up into their 70s that have been maybe getting Botox for years and just keeping things a little bit smoother or getting a little bit of a lift with that. So that's going to be our most popular treatment because I say it time and time again to patients, it's so much easier to prevent the wrinkles, the deep set wrinkles from forming than it is to treat them once they're really deep and set in. So that's going to be our most popular option that we see. Probably about 70% of our patients come to the clinic that are seeing a nurse practitioner injector are going to be getting one of the neuromodulators. We also do a lot of filler treatments. So that's hyaluronic acid based fillers. So it's a sugar naturally found in the body that we actually can inject to replace volume. So we can use that in the cheeks, kind of the smile lines here or the nasolabial folds. A lot of patients like to get a little bit more fullness to their lips, or we can even enhance your jawline with the filler. We offer the Juvederm line, we have Restylane, and then Revance are going to be our top 3 product lines for that. And then the other treatment that we do that I really love and I've had done several times myself that I performed on Camille is our platelet-rich fibrin injection. So that's kind of one of the latest and greatest technologies in the aesthetic world. So we draw your own blood. We basically spin it down a special centrifuge system and then draw off the platelet-rich fibrin, which is the portion of the blood that has your stem cells, white blood cells, growth factors, and then we can inject it into the skin and it really promotes collagen production, helps with fine lines, it helps with wrinkles, pigmentation concerns, acne scarring, and that's a really great treatment for the patients that I'm finding now more frequently that are saying, I really want to do something for anti-aging, but I'm not ready for Botox or I'm not ready to put something foreign in my body because it is 100% natural. And it has a very natural result. I find many patients say that friends or family members are like, wow, you look really great and refreshed, but they can't put their finger on it. So it's a great way to kind of dip your toe into the aesthetic world and, very comfortable treatment. One, like I said, I've had done several times myself that I love and that I love performing on patients. And then lastly, we do the platelet-rich fibrin. We can actually microneedle it into the skin, and that's really great for skin texture as well. A very comfortable treatment I've had myself and really gives your skin that nice glowy look while reducing pore size, again, helping with skin texture.
And I'm allergic to almost everything. I have a reaction to almost everything. So when you mentioned the platelet-rich fibrin, because when I came into my consultation, the last thing that was on my mind was getting filler because I didn't feel like it was something I needed. Because when I think of filler, I think of lips or I think of cheekbones, and or I see from watching way too many Real Housewives is that you can almost see where it's at, or it just looks stiff. And so I noticed with myself after getting it done, maybe because it's who was doing it, but at the same time, I didn't feel like overstuffed. I didn't feel any pain either, which I want to go back to giving the vials of blood for it. I hate needles. I hate getting vaccines, but I do because I hate getting sick even more. But if all vaccine needles were whatever needle you used, I would never be scared because even with the Botox that you do, well, of course but for those who don't know, I mean, she's injecting a few times, and even with there's like a slow-mo video of you can actually see the needle going in, and I'm watching her do it, and it doesn't hurt. I don't feel any discomfort, and even after I left, I still didn't, which I was surprised about because I had ice packs ready, and the second time I was like, oh, I don't even need it. So I'm Brooke's a pro. But I'm curious, when people come in for those consultations and they mention, how do you decide which filler's best for them?
Absolutely. So I think it goes back to first and foremost what the goal is. And I'll be 100% honest with you. We are very big on educating patients, but not upselling them on anything. So depending on what the goal is, sometimes, the goal is unachievable with what they're wanting. I'm honest about that. There are definitely certain cases, depending on the patient's skin texture, their goals, their age, where maybe surgery is the best option. So I'm not even going to suggest filler. I'm going to be 100% honest with them and say, I don't think we're going to get the look that you're wanting to go with this option because, you could go somewhere and they will inject the filler, but the amounts that they're having to put in is going to result in that kind of housewives look that you mentioned, where you look over stuff because the amount of volume that you're needing to even get close to the results you would have with surgery end up looking distorted and unnatural, unfortunately. So I start off with what the goal is, and then it really depends on the patient's ethnicity, their age, their skin texture. When we mentioned like the different product lines, Restylane, Revance, and Juvederm, I love products from all of those lines. I definitely am not one of those people that's like, I only use Juvederm, I only use Revance, I only use Restylane. It 100% depends on what area I'm injecting, and then like I mentioned, those other factors. So for example, a more mature lady that has a thinner lip, I'm going to use, a softer filler, one that maybe doesn't add a ton of volume, but that just makes lips look more hydrated, right? Versus a 20-year-old that wants, more of that pouty look or more volume. I'm going to choose maybe a little bit thicker of a filler because their lips can handle it. It looks a little bit more natural on someone in that age group. Same thing goes for cheeks. There's certain fillers, even in the Juvederm line. I might choose Voluma, for example, which is one of the thickest, kind of most bang for your buck volume-wise fillers. That might be appropriate for somebody that has a little bit more thicker skin texture. But for an older lady with a little bit thinner skin, I might go with something like Velour, a different product in the line that's a little bit thinner because there's less risk of the filler showing or being palpable. But those are just kind of things that I tease out during, of course, the assessment that we're doing to figure out your goals, what areas you want to have injected, but also just through experience and training and knowing over time, okay, this is my favorite option here. I've seen great results with this in this area or in this patient demographic, and being able to make that judgment call, again, based on experience, based on the assessment of the patient, and based on what the goals are. And that's pretty much all determined during that initial consult. And then work with the patient. Everybody has a different budget. Maybe they come in with 10 goals and we kind of narrow it down to what I think is going to be the most helpful for them or give them the most bang for their buck. And then we can assess some of the other areas later on when it's a little bit more in their price range. And that's totally fine too. It's all about, adapting to what the patient's needs, goals, and, financial responsibility time.
I love that you mentioned that because setting the expectations, making sure it's something that's achievable, you can actually meet, so that they are going around happy with their results as opposed to being like, oh, it didn't work for me, or, like saying different things that not necessarily was the injector's fault or the spa's fault for that matter. It's the person just was delusional and maybe in some aspects or just expected too much from non-surgical treatments that you offer. Now, I want to get into more about platelet-rich fibrin because we've heard about it before with microneedling or the vampire facial and different things. So I think people are a little bit scared about this. So I want you to share, because I know I am, because I'm like, wait, how many needles? How does this work? And I was kind of grateful you didn't bring it up for me, but maybe it's something I should look into because just based on the different things you said that it offers, I want to know more about it.
Right, absolutely. So we are very lucky here at Blue Water. We not only offer kind of the vampire facial with the platelet-rich fibrin, which is essentially microneedling in, but we also do the injectable version too. The PRF, the microneedling is sometimes performed with an esthetician versus the injections are always performed with a medical professional. So a nurse practitioner, physician assistant, or an MD. So for either case, basically, we would have you completely numbed beforehand, making it almost painless treatment. So for the microneedling, we prescribe you a prescription numbing cream that's applied to the entire face about 30 minutes prior to the appointment. For the injections, I just focus on numbing cream on the areas that are going to be injected. So for both instances, it's very, very comfortable, very, very tolerable in terms of treatment. So what happens is you come in, we draw your blood. So just like the doctor's office, we use a tiny, tiny butterfly needle. Depending on the areas being injected, we'll typically take anywhere from 2 to 4 vials of blood. And then we spin it down for approximately 6 minutes. So during that centrifuge process, it's basically separating all the other components of the blood from the platelet-rich fibrin. Why that's important is because the platelet-rich fibrin, the portion of the blood that we're injecting or microneedling in, has the mesenchymal stem cells, it has white blood cells, and it has the fibrin in it. The reason that matters is because those are the factors that are really important for promoting collagen production. They're growth factors. They help promote collagen, which basically is what really kind of gives that skin a little bit of volume, a little bit of a plump to it. So it's really, really good for fine lines and wrinkles from that standpoint, improving the skin texture by kind of plumping it up. So with the injections, what we do is we make one tiny little needle poke, which like I said, you would be numb for, and then we use a cannula, which is a blunt tipped tube, so it's not sharp on the end, to basically fill any areas very superficially that you're concerned about those fine lines and wrinkles. So that could be nasolabial folds. We can do the lips. We can do around the mouth. We could do kind of, so a lot of patients I'm seeing nowadays have these radial smile lines. Those smile lines are along the cheek that we can inject, which is what we did for Camille. We can also even do the neck with that. So we're filling all those areas with platelet-rich fibrin, and then basically over the course of 2 days, because it forms a small little fibrin sheath or scaffolding with that fibrin, it is releasing those growth factors, the white blood cells, over the course of about 48 hours. So it's all sitting there. It's allowing that time for the growth factors to be released. And then over the course of 4 to 6 weeks, you start to see collagen being produced. So that's how the injectables work. With the microneedling, it's a traditional microneedling. So you're numbed, we cleanse the face. And then what we're doing is basically making small little micro injuries in the surface of the skin to promote it to regenerate itself. So to build its own collagen. And then when you add that platelet-rich fibrin in, we drip it down so that it gets microneedled into the skin. It's kind of like microneedling, like the gold standard of microneedling, or like the pinnacle of microneedling, because you're not only getting that collagen induction through the microneedling itself, but then we're laying down that platelet-rich fibrin, which has all those growth factors. So you're kind of getting the double benefit of having double the collagen production, or double that stimulation of the dermis. So it's a really, really great treatment for patients that are like getting married, or you have like a photo shoot or something coming up in 6 months, like a big event, because it really helps with like pigmentation, the acne scarring. It can even help with redness in the skin, the pore size. So that's a really great treatment as well. And in terms of choosing one or the other, I do prefer the microneedling for patients that have more like textural issues, more things on the surface level of skin. So acne scarring, textural issues, the redness. I like the microneedling. If it's more of a volume deficit that they're wanting to have basically an alternative to filler, I'll choose the injectable. So that's going to be better for like those smile lines, the nasolabial folds, the lips, where we want to add very, very subtle volume, but some volume, or under the eyes is a great area to treat as well.
Mm. Yeah. Now, when you say treat under the eyes, what is that for? Is that for more for crow lines, or is it more for like dark circles? Like, what would you use it then
for patients that have dark circles under the eyes, and for kind of like the crepiness of the skin under the eyes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Because, it's allergy season. Everybody's starting to feel a little bit more dark circles. Yeah. I feel like, anyway. So I was like, whoa, wait, dark circles? Is this for that? But it goes away. Thankfully, it goes away once seasonal allergy goes away as well. But you also mentioned off air to me, and because I had a beauty mishap recently with my hair where I was chemically burned, I happened to come in for my 2-week appointment, and with the leftover platelet-rich fibrin, you applied it to my burns, but you were also sharing with me that you could have that also injected into your scalp. Can you explain a little bit more about that, and who is that a good candidate for that?
Absolutely. So you are able to inject a platelet-rich fibrin directly into the scalp. So what that does is it stimulates growth of existing hair follicles. So it's really great for patients in the beginning stages of hair thinning or hair loss. That's where we see the most benefit with the PRF treatments, just because they still have some existing follicles that we can stimulate. I have also seen success with patients with certain forms of alopecia, that again, they have some existing follicles that we can stimulate. So I'm seeing men originally were probably the patients that this was the most popular treatment for as an alternative to hair transplants, just because that's a very expensive process, and also takes a lot of time. There's not many people that do that. Versus now, I'm actually seeing a lot.
Do that well. Like you can always tell the celebrities sometimes who've had it done, and if they can't get it right, you feel like, what? Who am I? How am I going to find the right person to do my plugs? So not my plugs, but in general. So, wow. Yeah, that's great information. Share more. Sorry.
No, you're good. So yeah, I'm actually seeing a lot more women, especially middle-aged women that have a little bit of thinning, or maybe they have like a little bit of thinning in the front of their hair that they're really, wanting to get ahead of before it does progress to more patches of the actual alopecia. So with the PRF injections of the scalp, typically we recommend 3 treatments spaced about 4 to 6 weeks apart. You will see growth throughout the treatment process, but final results are typically seen about 2 to 3 months following that last treatment. Um, it is one of those treatments where you kind of have to trust the process, because it's hard to see. You see about 20% improvement with each treatment, but patients that complete that series, it is amazing to see the results. And like I said, it is a much cheaper, safer, more cost-effective alternative for a lot of patients, because with the hair transplant, obviously there's a lot of downtime. You have to wear a hat for long periods of time, versus with the PRF treatments, you're only looking at about 2 days of downtime with that per treatment. So a lot of patients will come in either on their lunch break or right after work, and have this treatment done. It's very easy, very quick. Same process of drawing the blood, and then we use a special 3-prong needle to inject in the scalp, which makes it go a little bit quicker, and it's a lot less painful than it is sometimes performed at other clinics that don't use those special needles, is what I've heard from a lot of my patients that have had it done elsewhere. So yeah, it's a very simple, easy treatment. Like I said, it stimulates the existing follicles to promote hair growth.
All right. Well, before I let you go, I want to make sure, because everybody's going to be calling Blue Water Spa and booking appointments like crazy after watching this show. Are there any treatments that you recommend people hold off to maybe until the fall? Like, is there anything that is safe for, is safe for summer, or is there some that you suggest more for summer and then come back in the fall for other things? Is there of the different services you mentioned today?
Yeah, so I definitely, Botox, great any time of year. Filler and the PRF injections are safe any time of year. Definitely the microneedling, you do need to avoid sun exposure for a couple weeks afterwards, just because the skin is a little bit more sensitized. The downtime is only about 24 hours, but definitely after that, you want to be judicious with your sunscreen. I'm a big believer in sunscreen all the time, but particularly around microneedling or any form of laser treatment as well. You are looking at avoiding sun exposure 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. So that's not possible for you. I definitely say recommend pushing those out to the fall. But as far as any of the injectable procedures, the filler, the neuromodulators, or the PRF injections, those are perfectly safe any time of year.
Good to know, because I am signed up to do laser hair removal, and I think now I'm going to switch that to hair rejuvenation, because I, like, I I've noticed with my hair, it's just gotten thinner. I mean, it was really thick when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I just missed that thickness. And even before then, it was very thick. But being a hair model, I kind of expected. I'm kind of surprised I even have hair now. Sometimes when I look back at my old book and just see all the different colors and weaves that they put in with glue back then, just for that one day hair show or whatever. So yeah, I may need to do that just for preventive measures and change that over now that I know that's an option, especially because like some women also have, at least this is what I was told, like different stress spots where you have a lot of tension there and you itch more there, or even with the different hairstyles you may do where you're pulling your hair maybe for a lot of ponytails or different things that you start thinning out. And so knowing that there's some way to prevent that from getting worse and maybe even regrowing hair again, especially if you still have the follicles, why not? Like I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
Sounds more for me anyway, because I'm not really good with extensions, so I feel like this would be the best bet for me. Because right now there's so many different options. I'm just like, I don't have the energy to research all of this and to spend that time every few months again getting it redone. So
Yeah.
it sounds like the perfect lazy excuse, lazy way to do it, and it's natural. So thank you so much again for joining. And is there any final things that you want to share before going back? Because you're at work, so I know you have your door is probably getting ready to get busted down with if you're not done soon. So, is there anything else you'd like to share before we head off?
No, thank you so much for having me, Camille. It's really been a pleasure. Like I said, I love what we do here at Blue Water Spa. I love taking patients on that journey with me and really helping you meet your aesthetic goals, and just to make you feel better about yourself, or feeling like you're just a better you. It's such a pleasure getting to know all my patients, including you, Camille. So I appreciate you having me.
The pleasure has been all mine. I was first introduced to Blue Water because one of my good girlfriends, Laura, who's one of the estheticians there, we used to work together. And so I like messaged her first, like, is this place legit? Like they're winning all these awards, but do you like it there? The people really cool. And da, da, da. She's like, oh my gosh, best place ever. Everyone is so well educated. It's so much fun. I trust everyone there with your face. I'm like, all right, because I'm on camera. I will say all the things if it doesn't go that way.
On bag. She'll have to show you.
Yeah, I can't wait to come back. And you have 2 locations now to serve.
Yeah.
So, and I also want to mention that starting today, starting last week, you can use the code Camille10 on your first appointment to get 10% off. So again, Camille10, and you can get 10% off your first service. So you can only use it once. So aim big. No, I'm kidding. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for being my guest today. It's the perfect Friday end the episode. So everyone, hurry up, get your appointments, or try to find a spa near you that provide these services and have this kind of education that she dropped down earlier today about what she went through to become the super injector that she is now. And if you have any questions or need any help, they offer free consultations. So you can't go wrong with contacting them and getting more information. And thank you again so much. I really enjoyed speaking with you and seeing you, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, have a great day. Again, thanks everyone for watching. To learn more about Blue Water Spa, please visit their website, which will be below, and make sure you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook, because now that I'm done with the season, I'll be sharing different things, different updates, different content, just having fun, going live just with random times, just having fun with it, really enjoying the summer. So thank you again for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful summer. Please reach out, make sure you join the newsletter, get more information, stay up to date, and make sure you know when season 5 will be coming and who will be my guest. That's the only way to find out, is through my newsletter. Again, thank you so much for joining the eSpot with Camille, and I'm the host, Camille Cower.